Welcome to the part 4 of the video. And in the series of videos that we are making, will help product manager understand what are those product prioritization techniques that every product manager or aspiring product manager should familiar themselves with. And because this will help you prioritize your most critical feature for the product. So let's get started now. So as a part of the fourth part installment, we will be learning about value versus effort prioritization framework. And this method is one of the easiest and simplest to do, and we will add it gives you high level version or high level idea about what are the priorities of the features that you have. So let's get started. So just to reiterate what we have learned from the previous videos, so we have covered these three videos that talks about Moscow method, Rice and KANO, and in this video we will be learning about value versus effort. And to reiterate one more time, this is a first installment where we'll be building a foundation about this prioritization frameworks and technique. Once we do that, we will go and we'll start with application of those things. So we'll go with a real life example of a product prioritization framework and how to do and apply multiple frameworks in one single product. So stay tuned for our next installment as well. So value versus effort model, well, it is the one simplest prioritization technique that exists and very helpful and useful for product managers. And what you have to do is you just have to rate your feature or idea against the two factors. What are those? First is the value factor and the second is effort factor. So let's get right into it. So in terms of the value, when you have to consider the value part, you need to understand hey, this is what is the value of this particular feature, how important this feature is. That's the value that you have to give some number. And I am saying and maintain the scales. Okay, 1 to 5, I could give a score of 2, 3, 4, 5 depending on what is the value to me of that particular feature, right? But you're a product manager, you're not going to think about the value from your perspective. You have to think about the value from user perspective, from the business perspective, right? And that is what the value you need to calculate. So give some revenue consideration. Will this feature help bring some revenue to the team, or is it a feature that is unnecessary? You do that. You need to understand if this is the feature that will help me increase my users on the platform. Let's suppose that particular the deployment that you are going to do on your app will let user use increase the get with the get with the registration quickly. So you see, this is something that could potentially impact the user on your platform and will help them. Yeah, do that, right? And you also need to consider if this is particular user useful or beneficial to them. But if they don't, they won't be even using your user like a feature or capability for that matter, right? And you also have to consider there is a strategic goal that has been set out in the business. You need to understand if this is something that is going to support our business or a strategic goal or not. If not, then you have to consider maybe you need to give in terms of the scoring. You can give a lower score. But remember, I have chosen to give score from 1 to 5. You could do any number, any number, as long as you are doing it consistently. So coming to the next part is the effort side. Effort is you have to understand how difficult it is for me to build this feature. You don't have to say this how can I build this particular feature. You have to say how hard or difficult that particular feature is. Remember the difficult word. You don't say how easy. You have to say how difficult or hard. And when you have to do that, you need to see revenue. You have to consider the cost of implementing it, right? And you have to, and when it comes to efforts, you need to understand the efforts from various angles. First, the development effort, right? Second is the operational effort, because if something that needs to be you need a sales and marketing team, then you need the operational effort. Then if the particular deployment that you're doing might involve legal angles and legal complication, then you have to set up the legal side as well. So that there is effort doing that. Then you have to consider what is the risk of implementing the said feature. What is the risk? And this is most important factor. Even if you forget the first the cost part, like how costly it is for me to do this, but never as a product manager you should ignore for any idea feature what is the risk, because identifying the risk help you prepare for it. If you don't, you might be losing on an opportunity that you could have banked upon. So understanding the risk is the most important factor. Then the complexity, and first important, whether it is feasible for me to build a particular solution or not. And one interesting thing is that in the product management world, you could build anything, but you have to build that within a particular time frame. If I have a feature going to take 10 years, then probably it's not feasible for me to build it. But if it is a 2 sprint, 3 sprint, yes, you could give a thumbs up to that, right? So this is a simple idea like how you will be doing that. So basically we'll be giving values to the features like 4 and 2. Do 4 by 2 is equals to 2 as a score. Second is like 5 as a value I pursue, and 1 as the effort I have to do is going to take, and 5 is the answer. So one question, like, how did you get these figures? From where these figures come from? Well, you need to do that. Well, this exercise is also like other exercises are not something that you can do in isolation. You have to get in touch with your team. When it comes to the value part, you always include the business stakeholders, strategy team, UX team, and other team like a product owner, to understand what is the value that you will be able to get by building that particular feature. And that is how, and you need to do this thing, right? Write down all the assumptions that goes into this thing. Okay. And for the effort side, you need to get in touch with your development team, of architects, and legal team, to understand what is the effort that is going to take to build that. And you, if it is very hard to do this and very complex situation, you give a 4. If it is very easy to do, something can be done within 1 or 2 sprint, you give effort as a 1. Okay. So moving on to the next one, these are some of the points that you have to consider. We already talk about including the stakeholder, but what is more important for you to understand, it is just a guesstimates, right? 1 2 5, it's just a guesstimate. It won't, you won't know, like, and it's nothing. And for that, and because it's a guesstimate, nothing is set in stone. The priorities that you see here could change. The new feature, new technology comes up, and instead of 10 years, you could do it in 10 days. So you could prioritize that one, right? That the feature that we said it's going to take 10 years. Okay, and remember, like, for every value and the numbers that you give, don't forget to note down the assumptions. And because you need to go back and see, can you have the data, and eventually you need to validate the assumptions to a certain point. And next is important to use that data should be used what are important and relevant to your businesses. Okay, and I can, that's it for it, guys. So if you like our video, I will ask you to please subscribe to our channel, and and give us a thumbs up. Thank you.